Hey, greetings and welcome, sports fans. I'm Benjamin Efran here with my partner, Amy Mackey, live at sunny Delta Park in North Portland. We're here for an exciting varsity girls lacrosse matchup between the Central Catholic Lady Rams and the Ida B. Wells Guardians. Central Catholic comes into this game with a record of 5-6, coming off a couple tough matches against Lincoln and second-ranked Generals of Grant High School, really the class of the league, and so they're looking to get back on the winning side tonight. And for Ida B. Wells, it's been a little bit more of a rebuilding season. Unfortunately, they suffered a couple early injuries. Kieran Serwanka tore her ACL in the build-up to the season. Whoa, it's just about ready time. Amy, I'd love to introduce you. 10 years of coaching youth lacrosse, serving on the board of the Oregon Girls Lacrosse Association. Just a wealth of experience. Welcome to the booth. Great to have you.
Thank you, Ben. I'm excited to be here. And Julia Pridmore just did the draw with Addie Hartmeyer.
So we're going to get back into the action here. And Central Catholic assumed possession. That's Ella Morris. Look to get into the offense. What are we looking here for is terms of motion and how Central Catholic's looking to attack the Ida B. Wells defense?
Well, it looks like Maeve is going to go for a drive right here. She's really quick, and she just opted to pass it back out. And they'll kind of work it around and see how things develop.
Right. Are there assigned lanes and motion plays? You can't set a pick, I imagine.
You can set picks, and they often use them. I think there's not usually a lot assigned lanes. There's somebody who goes behind the goal at X. Usually that's kind of an assignment that sticks with one person or two people. But other than that, there's just a lot of movement. And they, sometimes will run kind of like a motion offense if you're familiar with basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So can we liken Addie Hartmeyer's play right now to that of a point guard as she's trying to get the offense initiated?
Yeah, Maeve also kind of does the same thing, like ball handlers. Oh, that might have been an illegal pick, actually. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Well, Ida B. Wells back in possession, but quickly turned over back to the Rams. Definitely going to have to get some substitutions. It was 83 degrees when I got out of my car today. Feels like summer. A lot of sun on the players.
Yeah, and that turf is just brutal. It's like 10 degrees or 20 degrees hotter there.
Yeah, it really soaks it up. I've played many soccer matches on this field. Back to Hartmeyer to get the offense started. A little stick handling and probing. Nicely cut off by the Ida B. Wells Guardian defenders. Fleet-footed. That's Leah
Here's
Waller.
Maeve. Oh, she ripped that shot just a little high.
Yeah, freed herself, and I can tell we're already calling Maeve's number a bunch. We called another game of hers, and she really was a standout player.
Yeah, she comes from a long line of great lacrosse players. Her older sister is at High Point, and a terrific player.
Elise Lamb still on the ball. And a nice little dip down low. And
good shot. Addie just misses.
Yeah, good save. I don't know if we got a number for the Guardian goaltender, but she's able to come up there, make the stop.
Oh, they're giving Addie the 8-meter free shot right now. I think that she was fouled on that shot. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Got it. Gets in and goes low. Beautiful goal to get us started here. And Addie Hartmeyer opens the scoring, 1-0 Rams.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with their patience. They didn't rush it. They didn't drive right away. they kind of waited for things to develop, and I think that was effective.
Now, you know a lot of these young ladies. Is anybody showing themselves to be a draw specialist? I know certainly in the men's game, right? The Fogo, the
Yeah, it's funny, you know, we don't have the person who just does the draw and leaves at the high school level. In women's college lacrosse, you'll sometimes see that, but at high school, they're mostly doing all the things. You know, your center mid, there's Julia Pridmore Brown coming up with the draw control.
Yeah, good acceleration. Still on the ball. Back to the X, and the Guardians are going to look to set up their offense. Dipping inside, well cut off, and intercepted. We're going to go the other way. That was Marin Litvaya, and she's looking to go coast to coast. Definitely made a big impression on that last match and a player to watch. Hadley Drews fighting and maintaining possession, drawing the contact. Here's the restart. Yeah, strong run, but well defended. Nice athletic breakout play for the Guardians. You can see her shielding off the contact. Forward, we've got Pridmore Brown back on the ball. Got a dipsy doodle her way into the top of the arc here. Still on, and maybe even a little play call. Taps the helmet, gets people into position.
Yeah, look for Sophie to set a screen right there and roll right off of it. Oh, but Julia might
love
just
the
do it
spin
herself.
moves, everything but the final product there on the shot. She really danced her way down the lane. Good athletic play. And Ida B's going to maintain possession. Yep. Sophie LaFrenz.
And there's Micah Richmond, number 15, working the offense too.
You can tell that Pridmore Brown's a focal point of the offense.
Absolutely. She's got kind of all the pieces that you need.
Just seems really crafty and elusive, good with her body. Was just nifty in working her way through traffic.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, if you're going to call somebody the point guard in the game, I'd say she's probably the point guard for Ida B.
Yeah. And right on cue, she's back on the ball. Looking for an opening. And a lot of off the ball action.
Yep. Tries
for
to
Ida
feed the
B,
middle, but she was really well covered there by Meraki on D.
Central Catholic countering nicely.
There's Addie on the ball. She looks like she's going to drive here.
Oh, just take it yourself,
Nice.
Addie. I mean, really strong run. Nobody was able to slow her down much there, right into the lane, and 2-0 lead for Central Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, what can Ida B do to slow this thing down? I mean, things got away from them a little bit in the first matchup. They're up against it 2-0 early here.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Central is working really well together. They've got a number of players who can score. And, you know, I think they just need to be really talking on defense, sliding to the person who's driving, and really like double or triple teaming that person close to the goal.
Yeah, it's tough when there's so many capable ball handlers and scorers on Central Catholic's
There's Maeve with
roster.
the draw control.
Just changing directions in hands so effortlessly. Still probing. And well defended here. She's contained her nicely. That's one of the dominant sisters out there, Addie. Nice defensive stop. Back to the X for Central Catholic. And a lot of cutters down the lane. You just really see the motion offense in full effect. Dangerous area, but Elise Lamb unable to get the shot off.
Yeah, so right there you see what happens when you get 2 or 3 players on an attacker. They really do tend to turn it over. So great job on defense.
Yeah, too much contact there. We're going to stay with Ida B. Mimi Fitzpatrick doing well to advance the ball, but
there's Ellie with the ground ball. She is, I think, a sophomore. Great player. Another really well-rounded player.
Yeah, great. You had the pleasure of coaching her?
I did. I coached her at my scrimmage league in the winter a couple years back and was super impressed. Tall, athletic, good ball handling. She's great.
Back to Pridmore Brown. Yeah, almost looked a little frustrated. The Central Catholic defense kept shutting her down, but she's patient.
Yes, that was Pridmore to Ellie, and really, really nice pass and finish.
That's a goal, or is the referee taking this one away from her?
I am not sure what is happening.
I think it was Rector who scored it. Flashed into the lane.
Looks like a dangerous propel is what they're calling here, and so she is in. Yeah, I didn't really see it. You know, that's a call that's kind of tricky, but yeah. So she's going to be in the penalty over there for 2 minutes.
She not only doesn't get to score her goal, but she's going to sit for how many minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a yellow card. It's a major foul.
Yeah, wow, just nifty running out of Marin Litvia. She's just clearly athletic and
there's Maeve.
Quick on her feet.
She rips that sidearm shot, but just misses wide.
Yeah, Catholics certainly getting more looks in front of goal and opportunities to shoot the ball.
Yeah, that time it felt like the D just didn't really collapse in on her.
And a high press here, right? They're
redefending really well right now, putting that pressure on the ball.
And is it going to cause the turnover? Certainly some uncertainty in the back here.
There's Addie. Nice, 80. Up to Sophie LaFrenz. Great. Oh, and look at that, backed up very nicely by Micah.
Yeah, Ida B growing into the game a little bit, and actually, ironically, shorthanded here.
Yeah. And losing Kieran Serwanka was just massive for them. She was one of their top scorers last year. They also graduated a senior who was the state player of the year. And so it's a bit of a change for them this year.
Yeah, that sounds like two huge losses. I mean, one to graduation and one to that unfortunate knee injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, wishing her a strong and speedy recovery. Back to the X for Central Catholic. Nice, nifty pass inside, and the shot's going to sail high. That was Maeve Kelly with a chance. And Central Catholic's going to retain possession.
Now that was good D right there. The double team caused the turnover to Ellie in the transition right here.
Yeah, they're switching fields nicely here.
Yes, that's a great transition. Really good passing.
Of space. And kind of a scrum in front of the Central Catholic goal. Ida B with possession. Pridmore Brown's going to slow things down, and I wonder if that's a little bit of a product of the heat and maybe being outgunned a teeny bit.
Yeah, I think it's a good strategy. You know, they don't have a ton of players they're going to be subbing in here, and oh,
I think she hit the crossbar.
yeah.
And quickly, errant pass though, unable to counter. Ida B back on possession.
That's picked up by Kaya. Oh, but back. Oh,
And the
there
loose.
it is.
Yeah, fighting through two defenders, just absolutely harassing her, and no problem
Yeah,
for
that's 80.
Dominance. Here's Julia gonna go behind the goal. And some flashing runs to the top of the box, probing and looking for that. Here it is. Good moves to free herself, but unable to get the shot off. Back to Micah Richmond.
Yeah, and look to Julia to just really be making great passes here. She's made a couple of them, and she might just try to finish it herself here. We'll see.
Yeah, you see the patience as she's probing and looking and thinking about her own shot, but definitely looking for those runs off the ball. And Bridmore just going to put her shoulder down and get into the lane and draw some contact. So we'll get a free restart here. What are you looking to do on this?
Well, so you got two options on the 8-meter. You can drive and shoot, or you can just rip it from the 8-meter. And I think Julia's going to try and do a quick drive and shoot low. That's going to be my guess.
She's definitely got the quickness. The defense collapses, and a nice save for the Central Catholic keeper. I think that's Becca Josephson. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of the first quarter. Pretty convincing quarter for Central Catholic, but I feel like Ida B came back and reasserted themselves. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, I feel like the Central goalie did have a couple of nice saves, and you know that goal that was taken away for Dangerous Propel, that was a bummer for Ida B, but Central's playing really well together, and we've seen them be really patient and work their way around and make a goal that way, and then we've seen them make the drive. So they've got options, and they're using them.
Yeah, coach was pretty optimistic. Sharon Zemp and assistant Julia Geiger on the bench for the Central Catholic Rams, and they like the way that the schedule's stacking up for them coming out. I mean, Grant and Oregon Episcopal were some tough matchups, but what do you see for the Rams going forward?
I think it sounds like their goal is to just be at the top of kind of the lower section of teams, which means they would be in the Silver Cup at the end of the season for the I don't know if they call it the championship, but I think that's kind of what they're working towards, and I think it's a really reasonable goal for them.
Yeah, well, one step at a time, and tonight they're off on the right foot, leading Ida B 2-0. Gorgeous day. The wind's kind of a non-factor.
Yeah, it's cooking out there. You can tell these girls are going to be wiped at the end of the game.
Yep. Hydration, fitness, it all matters today.
For sure. So I think what we see happening here is the Ida B coach is asking the official about that call, the Dangerous Propel call, because it looks like the official is explaining exactly what happened over there.
It was a big moment, really a turning point in the first quarter here.
For sure. But I think this looks like they're maybe Ida B is doing a little bit better than they were in their last game against Central. I think Central really destroyed them last time. It was something like 17-2.
Yeah, pretty lopsided.
And so it's only allowing 2 goals in the first quarter is okay. That's better than last time.
And really, by a very small margin, had that goal disallowed.
Yeah. All right, we've got Addie and Julia back on the draw. And Julia looks like she might be setting up to pull. It's hard to tell. A lot of different things you can do on the draw here.
Yeah, I see that with her foot positioning, and it looks like she won, but quicker to the ball is going to be Mauve Kelly, who's going to get possession for the Rams. Going the other direction now, into the sun.
Maeve is so quick on the circle. She's really dangerous.
Kick it back to Marin. And Central Catholic doesn't really appear to be in a big hurry to get their offense moving. Back to Addie. Probing and stick handling. Back to Maeve.
Whoops.
Not a ton of pressure on the ball. Driving and taking the contact. Marin.
Yeah, so again, we're going to see Marin probably run the ball into the goal here and take a close-in shot.
And a nice save. Yeah. Excellent goaltending.
Yeah, so the Ida B goalkeeper has something like a 42% save rate, which is incredibly high.
Ah, the announcer's jinx.
It was. My bad.
Just a ton of movement off the ball. Central Catholic looked poised there, and there's only so much superhero goaltending that we could get.
Yeah, so that was Elise. They've had 3 goals and I think 3 different scorers. So that's pretty great for them to be well-rounded in that way.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the Central Catholic goals. Well, I guess we just did. They're gonna the silver tournament.
Yeah, I think they're going for the Silver Cup, which the last few years they have not been a very competitive team. So, so I think that could be a great accomplishment for them.
Building the program for future years. All right, back on the draw. And
that time it's Sophie LaFrenz is taking the draw rather than Julia Pridmore-Brown, and we've got her going up against Maeve Kelly. Oh, no, that's not Maeve. That's Addie Hartmeyer.
Yep.
But looks like Addie's going to go back. Yep.
And, yeah, a good little battle
Maeve with the ground ball. I mean, she's just coming up with it a lot because she's so quick and so aggressive on those ground balls.
And sense her offensive anticipation.
Yeah.
Probing to the left, looking. It looks like she's looking for her own shot, which she did. But, again, the strength of the goaltender for Ida B has been on display. And a little bit more swarming pressure out of Ida B. 50-50 ball is going to go Central Catholic. Yeah.
So that's Emma Moran definitely through traffic.
Yep, drew some contact, free restart. Emma's going to kick it over to Marin. Back over to Elise Lamb. Elise Lamb driving her way through. The look at goal, but more contact. But a foul on Elise.
They may have called a charge on that one.
So why don't you explain to the viewers at home a charge?
Well, if the defender, you know, it's not really like basketball where if you're holding your feet, if you get, you know, if you have good defensive position and your stick is not in a horizontal position, it's, you know, held upright, and you're not in shooting space, then you know, and the attacker is trying to drive right through you, they're going to call a charge.
So it has a lot to do with your position of your stick.
The position of your stick and of your feet, and yeah, if you're kind of just, yeah, it's a tough one to explain, and I'm not really. Sometimes you think it should be a charge, and they don't call it a charge, so. Yeah. Another save by the goalie.
Yeah, Addie Hartmeyer working her way in, and absolutely fantastic goaltending again out of the Guardian netminder. Back to Marin.
Yeah, it looks like they're looking to slow it down a little bit. Again, just saving their energy in the heat.
And a timeout, Central Catholic. Maybe get a few fresh faces in the game. Talk strategy.
Yeah, or just hydration. You know, I'm not sure if they're really, you know, going to need their timeouts for strategy in this game. Could be.
Ida B, you know, they've endured a lot of pressure, but they're only down 3.
Yeah, and it's just rare to see a goalie with that many saves, honestly. She's probably got 4 or 5 saves already in the game, and yeah, she's just been doing phenomenal.
We've got 6:50 to go in the second quarter. Again, Benjamin Efran out here with my partner Amy Maki, Delta Park. What a gorgeous day. Sun's just working its way down, but the field is still cooking. They're still in full sun.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to cool off enough for them in this game, I don't think.
No breezing. They took the tents down. They had a couple tents up at for the warm-up. Well, there's one in the middle there, but nobody's hovering underneath it. I think that's where I would have taken my team.
For sure.
And the timeout's over. The horn has sounded. Just about ready to get back into action. We'll see if Ida B can get on the board, and Central Catholic, of course, wanting to expand that lead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, if that was in fact a strategic timeout, and they're coming out with an attack plan right now, or if they're going to just still kind of hold for a while.
Yeah, you can't think they're too comfortable at 3-0.
Yeah, for sure.
Did Central have to have possession to call the timeout?
Yes, they do. And so they will come out of the timeout with possession.
All right, ball's back in play. Marin's going to kick it over. There's Eleanor Black in the game now. Back to Addie. Addie's going to share the ball. Emma Moran. Back to Eleanor Black.
Yeah, this just looks like a stalling play to me. They're just kind of working it around outside the 12-meter.
Yeah, maybe like some decoy runs and action until they maybe get into the real set like this.
Yep, here we go.
Yeah, and none other than
Marin. Oh,
yeah,
but
Marin.
that's some good defense.
And a little ambitious on the on the long pass. But some disruptive energy out of I to B. Too disruptive, and they fouled.
So, yeah, there's Addie, one of their draw takers and ball handlers, moving the ball up.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot of running. Elise Lamb could have fired herself down into the lane. And the double team, triple team defense is going to work well.
And there's Ellie
the
coming up with the ball.
Yep, nice pass.
To Julia, yeah, great.
Those two clearly leaders on this team. And
so that's a shooting space violation, where she just ran right in front of Julia on the drive, which was a dangerous position to be in.
So here we go. We're expecting to maybe get a shot off low, and she shoots and she scores. And I to B is on the board, and who else but their star.
Julia Pridmore-Brown.
Yeah, Julia Pridmore-Brown.
Just a sophomore. Great player.
Yeah, she's been involved from the get-go here. Drew the foul, took her own free shot here, and it's 3-1. 4:50 to go in the second quarter.
So we've got Sophie LaFrenz on the draw with Addie Hartmeyer. Looks like Sophie's going to pull behind, I think.
That's been a consistent strategy for I to B, I've noticed.
And there's Maeve one more time, again, with the ground balls. She is just quick and aggressive and in the right place.
Hungry with great anticipation, and right back is going to be a goal for Central Catholic.
Yeah, that was Marin with a beautiful pass from Maeve. Just a nice fast break play.
Yeah, good motion. And that did not take long for a response from the I to B goal. Marin scored it.
Yeah, and so Marin's back on the draw. And, you know, I think if I were coaching these girls, I would just try to get it to the opposite side from Maeve, honestly, if I were I to B.
Yeah.
She's just so quick, and she's getting all those ground balls.
She's getting all the loose balls off the draw. That's absolutely been my observation as well.
Oh, and that's what they tried, and then Marin just stepped up and grabbed that ball out of the air. Really nice.
Yeah, that looked like that was the way they drew it up. And back in possession, Central Catholic. Emma Moran on the ball. She's going to kick it over to Marin. Confident stride. Going to hold on to it and take it back. We're going to go back to the X. Central Catholic, good movement. Twisting and turning and shooting, and another
That was Emma Moran. So
Yeah.
they're working it around to a number of players, and she just worked the crease that time from
Yeah, I
X.
felt like the keeper had that one, and then it got away from her and just kind of snuck its way into that lower corner. I think she saved the initial shot, and just had a little bit of trouble with it.
Oh, it's such a tough job.
It's such a tough job.
And that ball really hurts at high speeds. It's a
I can't
hard
believe the amount of
ball.
players that don't have shin and knee protection. I played a little ice hockey goalie, but you better believe you tried to cover up everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the draw.
Julia's back on it.
Again, trying to pull and call her own number. Almost gets there. And Marin, just really a dominant athlete out here. Maeve quick, ducking.
Yeah, Marin and Maeve are working well together.
Oh, what a great pass.
Is.
What a 1-2. Just dipping down the lane. Central Catholic's really starting to show some of their class. We've got a big great blue heron flying over the field.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, that was a really nice kind of sidearm shot by Maeve, and she's missed a few, so I imagine that's got to feel really good to put one in the back of the net.
So as an attacker, are you trying to change up the angle of your stick and confuse goaltenders and defenders?
Absolutely. You're going to often see them faking one way and shooting another way. And then sometimes they just go for the power rip. You know, that sidearm shot is a powerful shot that not that many kids in the girls' game really can do. So Maeve's going to use it.
I imagine that's where some of your coaching expertise comes in to really help them out with the kinetic chain and the baseball, golf swing, and hockey, and of course to this sport where you're getting the full force of your body and the turn rather than getting wristy and handsy and
yeah,
losing it.
Exactly. I mean, really, when you're shooting that ball, you want to be using every muscle you can. You're using a ton of core. It's not just your arms. You'll see them rip it across their whole body. They're using their legs, their core, their arms, everything.
Fun to watch. Great
Super
goal.
fun. Super
and just
fun.
really the 1-2, you could just tell how fast the ball was moving and how quick the shot got off, and what a precarious position that puts the goaltender in.
Yeah, it's tricky. And Maeve slid in there and was, you know, she maybe had one defender on her, but you got to put at least a couple bodies on her.
Yeah, that seemed to be the formula early for Ida B, was just really defending en masse. And they've gotten away from that. Some of these talented Central Catholic attackers have gotten free, and now we're starting to see the goals rack up. It's 6-1 with 3:27 to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, and fatigue might be a factor right now.
And that, yeah, Ida B was going with a few swingers too, bringing up some girls from JV as well.
Yep. Yeah, and those girls just played a full game in the heat, so.
I can't imagine. Yeah, and it was hotter.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask. And I imagine the ones they wanted to come up were the ones that got a lot of minutes in the early game. So
no doubt.
I certainly envy the fitness.
In this case, when Central has the ball a lot on attack, that Ida B defense is just getting worked. And so they're going to get a little tired.
Getting tired chasing the ball, chasing the runners, chasing the motion, and mentally fatigued when you look up and all of a sudden it's 6-1.
Yeah.
They showed up with some fight. Got to credit to Ida B.
Yeah, in fact, it looks like they've dropped Julia back to defense right now. Maybe they're going to switch her into mid. I'm not sure. But they've got Sophie LaFrance and taking the draw, and Ellie and maybe 80.
And here's that 50-50 out of it. Good battle, and Central Catholic's going to be awarded possession. Back to Addie Hartmeyer. Striding her way right up the field. And she's going to pull it back and set up the offense. Addie probing and looking. Kick it over to Elise Lamb. The sun's right in our eyes as well here. Back, Central still in possession here. Weaving and deaving.
Marin with the ball. Oh,
Marin, and coming in low and scoring another one. Maeve Kelly.
Again with that same strong right sidearm shot. It's a tough one to stop. Even if the goalie gets her stick in the way, it's going so fast, it's going to push right through.
Yeah, she released that one nice and low and zipped it into the corner. Another great goal, and it's 7-1, and things are getting away from Ida B a little bit here at the 2:27 mark of the second quarter. There haven't been a ton of clean draws. It really seems like Central Catholic's hustle for the 50-50 loose balls has been an important factor in this.
Yeah, it's amazing how many draws just come down to who's hustling, who's quick, who's boxing out on those ground balls.
Yeah, that's the battle we're not seeing as much as that secondary box out kind of possession battle.
So I think the call there was that Central went early, and so they gave it to Ida B.
Oh, what a lovely move for Ellie Rector, but Becca Josephson's a fabulous goalie in her own right, able to come up with the stop. Here's a bouncing ball controlled by Ida B.
There's Julia working it on the ground ball, pulling it right into her cradle.
Julia confident, cradling that ball, getting into the danger area here, and drawing too much contact. Julia self-start, she took her eye off it a sec here, and able to regain possession for Ida B. Back to the X. That's Poppy Dibble. Poppy Dibble still on the ball. Not as much motion off the ball here for Ida B. Back to Julia. JPB.
Yeah, and Addie is doing a nice job defending her, really putting the pressure way out there.
Yeah, giving her just a little bit of stick, huh?
Just a little bit, you know. If the officials see them extend their arms, and Maeve swiped but didn't get called for it there.
Yeah, that was close, huh? Kind of pushing the limits here. But what a lovely move for Julia.
Yeah.
And she nutmegged her. She went 5-hole. Gorgeous goal for Ida B. Wells. Julia Pridmore-Brown with the lovely pirouette in the lane and goes 5-hole.
Yeah, and she switched left. You know, she's a right-handed player, and she just switched left at the last second, which is obviously an important thing to be able to do as a lacrosse player.
Yeah, ambidextrous, finished with both hands. She showed it there. Good skills. She said she's just a sophomore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful goal and a hug from her teammate. That's what it's all about here, high school sports.
Super fun.
Back in the draw, and there's like a push draw. And this battle that continues to be won by Central Catholic.
Wow, it went all the way back to the last defender.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
Scooped up. That's Lila Sharp in the game. Lila looking for a teammate. And there's some kind of infraction here. She's going to get a free restart.
That's Olivia Meraki, the defender back there.
Yep, some new faces in here for Central Catholic. And Emma Moran.
Nice transition. Oh, again, I jinxed him.
Yeah, swat at the stick, and that's the horn for halftime. And at halftime, it's 7-2 Central Catholic. You know, good things for both sides here. Some really nice goals. And absolutely, that last goal for Ida was a thing of beauty out of Julia Pridmore-Brown.
Yeah, for sure. And it's nice to just go into halftime with a goal like that. It's going to help the morale of the team in the second half. And they needed that boost. So,
yeah, had one taken off the board earlier. Came out with some spunk, but ran into a juggernaut and a tough Central Catholic side here. Heat, among other things, and needing to put a couple. It's just really too bad. You touched on it earlier with the Kieran Serwanka injury, but right as the season was getting underway, tearing her ACL, and what an important role she played on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Olivia, I forget her last name, but she just graduated last year. She was the Oregon Player of the Year, and just was incredibly dominant for Ida B, and is now playing at Oregon and doing an incredible job. They came up for a game against Willamette, a college game against Willamette at Lincoln High School, and a lot of high school and youth players came out to watch these two college teams play. And Olivia got playing time, and it was just really fun to see her then playing at that next level. Just phenomenal.
Just
Oregon's
fabulous. And
great.
for all the girls that aren't going to play in college, to keep these friendships that may last a lifetime, and have played with her and get to go watch her at the next level. Yeah, really good stories all the way around here.
Yeah, it is super fun. And there's just so much value in high school sports in general, you know, without thinking about playing at the next level. But these kids are learning all the social skills and so many things that they're going to use their whole life long. So it's just really valuable for everybody.
Yeah, you bet. Teamwork, working in teams, staying fit. You know, it's sad to say a little bit of a lost art in this. You know, in the days of excessive video game playing and poor nutrition and a lot of screens. We're all on our screens. It's great to see, you know, you just get lost in the tactile touches of a sport such as this and running around and getting that sweat on.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the other thing is you got to learn how to work together with a bunch of different personalities, different coaches, different styles of play, and those skills are highly transferable. So it's I love to see that both of these schools have a full JV squad and varsity squad. So, you know, there's plenty of kids out there getting this experience, and the future looks good.
Yeah, just fantastic. It's more important to be involved and be on a team than it is what sport you're playing. But this is obviously a great one.
Yeah, super fun to watch, too.
Is there an assistant coach that's helping out? Jessica Elifson is the head coach for the Guardians. I know she's got some help over there. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, so she's got Highland Cullen Masenga and Mackenzie Fordred and Allie Boyd all helping out over there.
Yeah, and you know better than anybody. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes here.
Absolutely. And, you know, some teams have, you know, coaches who are specializing on goalies and coaches who are specializing on defense and coaches who are specializing on midfield and on draw control, and then, you know, a specific coach for the offense. So a lot of girls lacrosse teams are a little bit shorthanded, actually. Sometimes you'll see coaches out on their own coaching full teams and all of those positions, which is just a really, really tough job.
I can only imagine. So we got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds here as halftime counts down. Heat hasn't really gone away too much. I'm sure it's hovering around 80 or high 70s still. Traffic on I-5 looks to have let up a little bit. Delta Park, gorgeous facility. Probably, 10 soccer fields here. I know Saints youth soccer practices out here. Tons of lacrosse games.
Yeah, this place is heavily utilized at all times of the year. I think a lot of club soccer practices happen here.
Yeah. And it's nice that they have the nice next generation fields. I played on this field, 2 decades ago when I practically got gangrene for a slide tackle that took off half my leg. Back when you played on, artificial grass or carpet on a concrete or something.
Yeah, it's nasty. I still sometimes worry about the turf. My daughter comes home with huge turf burns on her elbow and knees, and we're like, you better clean that out really well.
Yeah, definitely get an infection.
Yeah, so I think in the second half, really just looking to get that draw control. It's so important in how the next plays develop. So if Ida B can just get a few draw controls, it's going to be tough, but that's really going to help them get off on the right foot to score a goal. So
yeah, seems fundamental to the game here. And the second ball, we've seen a lot of loose balls off the draw that have just been out-hustled, mostly by Marin herself and Maeve. Maeve, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's quick, and she gets her body in position so that the other player has to, step on her to try to get to the ball. So they're just doing a really nice job of that. And if Ida B can get their bodies in a little bit better position and get a little bit quicker off the circle, then they'll have a better chance of controlling the draw. I think also if they're able to pop it up and grab it out of the air. Sophie LaFrenz is a tall player, and Julia can jump. So if they can pop it up in the air, they'll be I think more likely to win some of these draws.
Yeah, they've been kind of pushed around with the lower body strength of some of these Central Catholic girls on that second ball, and losing possession just puts you behind the 8 ball right from the go of the possession. You can see it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what the percentage of draw wins are that end in a score, but I think it's pretty high.
Is that a stat that does get kept?
Well, it should.
It should. We're going to change sides again. Get ready for the third quarter here.
Yeah, so there's Sophie LaFrenz on the draw with Adi and Ellie. And then Maeve is taking the draw for Central Catholic along with Addie and Marin. So they've Central's keeping their top 3 middies in the action. And it looks like Ida B has put Julia on the defensive side.
And here we go. The draw to start the third quarter. And popped up in the air, just like you said, took a funny hop and scooped up nicely Maeve Kelly.
Yeah, that ball had some weird spin on it.
Right down the lane, and Marin is going to get herself fouled.
That was actually, yeah, that's Marin, indeed. And that was across the body check. So she's going to be on the 12 meter. Look for her to pass this ball. I don't think she's going to go for the goal.
Yeah, and right off the bat. And what lovely position. Addie just found herself in a killer offensive spot. Able to subtly just dip it over the keeper's shoulder, and a quick goal for Central Catholic.
Yep, that was too easy, but pretty. Very nice passes.
She was awfully close to being in the crease, no?
Yeah, she was. She was right point blank. That's a very difficult ball to save.
Can the keeper put a stick on her, get a body on her? Can the keeper do any last-ditch defending?
She can't really check her body, but she can certainly mirror her stick and try to, kind of do like a block like you would in basketball.
Yeah. Maeve's going to take the draw here.
You can see Maeve looking over her shoulder. She's trying to get it
right
to Marin.
Oh, but well read, and 80's going to go the other way for Ida B. 80's looking around. Kick it over to Micah Richmond. Richmond now a little possession for Ida B. Back to JPB.
Oh, there.
Down
nice
low,
pass.
just punishing. Yeah. Really nice physical play. Was that Ellie Rector?
That was Ellie. And again, her height, she gets her stick nice and high, and Julia just put it on a dime for her. It was really, really a great pass. And then Ellie was pretty much point blank right there.
Well, it seems like Ellie held off a defender or two with her strength and her shoulder.
Yeah, and that high cradle, really keeps it out of reach for some of the defenders too. So it looks like Sophie's going to try and push to 80 again.
And calls her own number.
Yeah, popped right up to Maeve.
Yep. Maeve's going to kick it over back to Morin. Morin's looking around. 27, we didn't get a number for 27, did we? It's a new face
I don't see
out there for Central Catholic. There's Addie Hartmeyer looking. Nice, quick first step. She's going to get through the defense and score. Just a gorgeous goal for Addie Hartmeyer, showing off her quickness.
Yeah, that was a nice drive.
Just an individual athletic display there. Nice goal. Extend the lead 9-3.
I wonder if number 27 is somebody who's wearing a different jersey tonight, because I don't have her on either one of my rosters.
Well, she'll have to let her play do the talking and her number, and we'll all know her name by the end of the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm going to call her Blue Cleats for short.
All right.
Yeah, look to Maeve. Maeve's probably going to do the same thing here. Oh.
Just yanked it back, but we've got a whistle.
Yeah,
no,
so that was, I think that was a false start. Basically, if you move between when they set up the draw and when they blow the whistle, it's a false start and it goes to the other team.
Yeah, Rector with a nice pass and another goal. She's initiating the offense. I didn't see who got it.
That was Julia, yeah. So Julia
course.
passed to Ellie last time, and this time Ellie passed to Julia for the finish. And, yeah, very nice.
What year is Ellie?
Ellie, I think, is a sophomore.
Yeah, so this is the foundation going forward
yeah,
for this
yeah.
Ida B side. Those two are working great together.
And Ida B has a really strong 8th grade group coming up that I've coached for the All-Stars, and there's about 4 more girls coming. So
if you've got a 6th,
good.
7th, 8th grade girl at home who's interested in this, how do they get involved?
Well, there's a number of different programs. There's really one for every neighborhood in the Portland area, and you can just look it up online. And wow, really nice grab out of the air by 80 there.
Yep. Oh, a little bit of an unforced error, but they're going to get it back.
That's a held
Micah
cross,
Richmond.
so that's going to go back to Micah here.
And Micah Richmond to get us going again here for Ida B. Guardians going to kick it over to Rector. Rector, beautiful pass and a goal.
Wow.
And Ida B with a teeny bit of momentum here.
Yeah, so Sophie LaFrenz for the finish on that. And another terrific pass by Ellie Rector. She is facilitating some action for them.
Yeah, good movement, but you can tell her eyes are up the whole time, really looking to put it on the net of her attacking colleague, and the great offensive opportunity there.
Yeah, it was really nice.
9-5.
That's what it looks like.
9:28 to go, and a little fight back out of Ida B.
Yeah, and I think, again, the draw control is totally key here, and we've seen them get the last 2 draws that led to score, so that's working for them.
A power push forward, and Sophie wants to get her own, but it's going to be a redraw.
Yeah, that time the ball didn't go above their heads, so they're going to redraw it. It's supposed to go above their heads on every draw.
She trying to just kind of bully her way into getting the ball herself?
Yeah, there's when you do the self-draw, you kind of pop it up. Oh, nice draw to Ellie, too.
Yeah.
And Ellie got the step.
And the draws are going Ida's way now, and it's helping them get back in the game.
Absolutely.
Julia, the ball's down and quickly recovered by Rector. Nice spin. Looking for teammates. Gonna call her own. Dump it down. It's kind of a 2-woman game here. Julia's gonna step into the lane, looking and looking, but not full power on the shot. And it's scooped up by Becca Josephson. And quickly regained by Ida B. The Guardians on the attack again.
That was really nice work by Becca on that ground ball right on the crease.
50-50. Battling for possession. And right now, Ida B a little more of the hungry of the two sides.
Yeah, those ground balls are absolutely key. When they hustle and they get the ground balls, that leads to possession and leads to scoring.
Sun getting a little lower, a few shadows coming our way. Kick it as it's going to retain with the Guardians. That's 80. Back to the X. Get things started.
It's Micah Richmond back behind the goal.
Micah coming. Nobody's really on her. Too tight. Going to go back to the X. Dropped and recollected. It's Ellie Rector. To the top, back to Sophie LaFrenz.
Yeah,
and there's a little more pressure.
Put some pressure on
yeah,
her.
And too much pressure. Yeah, another goal goes in, and all of a sudden, Central Catholic tends to kind of snap out of this a little bit.
Yeah, they need to be putting more pressure on the ball, and that's what Maeve was trying to do.
It's a good pass down low.
They're really doing a great job of working it around.
That's Maya.
Yeah, and that's Olivia Meraki with the pressure on the ball back there.
Back to 80. 80, a little pump fake. And cut off nicely the Central Catholic defense. And there's, a near
Almost.
steal
There
and
she
go,
is.
and we are going to get the other direction. No, it's 50-50 and lost. And Rector's going to pound through a good pass and another goal for Ida
goodness.
Wells. And momentum has shifted the Guardians' way here. Was that 4 in a row?
I think so, and it all comes down to draw control and hustle on those ground balls. You just see some of the defense kind of standing around for Central, and Ida B. Wells players are fully taking advantage and just diving in for those ground balls.
Yeah, I mean, Sharon Zem might need to kind of get into them a little bit here. They've lost some of that energy that they showed up with. Maybe taking Ida B for granted a little bit.
Yeah, you can't get cocky, you know. There's Ida B's got some players who are gonna really, if you're just standing around, they are gonna score on you.
And it's happening. So you think the formula, coach, here is to ramp up the defensive pressure a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just hustling on those ground balls and getting control of the draw. We've seen Ida B get draw control for the last 4 times that they've scored, I think. So that's absolutely key. And they're getting quick off the circle. They're getting it out of the air. And they're just taking care of business, doing what they need to do.
Especially in the second quarter, Central Catholic was the first to every 50-50 loose ball, ground ball as you're calling it. And it's really been a tale of different quarters here, with Ida B being the aggressor and paying that off on the scoreboard here in the third.
Yeah, and I'm sure Sharon Zemp is giving them exactly that hype talk that they need right now to get fired up and get energized and go after those balls and really get more.
And credit to Ida B for working their way right back into this match.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is fun.
6 minutes and 1 second to go here in the third quarter. Yeah, what is in store? I think you're right. Sharon had seen enough. We'll see if the team talk pays dividends here. Breeze blowing in just a little bit, and we're going to get a draw to get back in play. Ripped backwards by Hartmeyer. And right on cue, the 50-50's gobbled up by Marin.
Yep. Marin to Maeve. Good combo for Central.
Kelly's going to slow it down, get into their set. Was that a swap of a midi for an attacker right there or something? It seems like, yeah, Marin's dropping off to the mid. She's not part of this attacking play.
Yeah, she can't go past that restraining line. They can only have 4 players on this side of this 2/3 here.
But she's what a nice little nifty change of direction, and she draws a ton of contact on the shot. Addie Hartmeyer, really a lot of stop and go hesitation moves.
Yeah, and you know, as a coach, I would tell her in that situation, go to your left hand. They were all over her right side, and if she just switched to her left, ding, she would have had a little opening.
Well, she's got a very good opening
yeah,
here.
Very nice. Quick off the 8-meter.
Yeah.
Really nice finish.
Yeah, you could tell her legs are doing her a lot of favors out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And back to a 4-goal lead at 10-6, Central Catholic. Eddie Hartmeyer. Hearing it from her teammates. Smattering of proud parents here in the crowd.
Yeah, it's a nice night to be out watching a sport. And lacrosse is a fun one.
Back to the draw. 4:42 to go in the third. And popped way up in the air. Grabbed not so cleanly though. And it's back. Is that Tilly Dieter getting the game? Well, there's Marin just chewing up yards with her legs. Tough to knock off the ball.
Yeah, she's got a good strong cradle.
Yep. Maeve's going to cradle her way into the top.
Yeah, so
swing
Marin's
it over to
taking
Lamb.
a break back here on defense too.
Lamb back to Hartmeyer. Hartmeyer checked by Ellie Rector. Back to Kelly. One way, I'm going this way, I'm going that way. Good moves. Just the
she
shot.
Just tried a very tricky kind of backhanded shovel shot that just missed.
I think give credit the defender
nifty.
got into her motion there and altered that shot.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But the move was fabulous.
Yeah, she's getting really creative.
Eleanor Black. She's going to have a little hesitation back through the X herself. She's going to run around all around the goal. Eleanor Black looking for an opening, but she's going to turn it over and quickly the other way. That's forward. It's Maya Soltets on the game.
And Tilly Dieter comes up with it.
And nice to spin out of traffic there. Marin just good on her feet. No problem. Kelly. She's got some moves. Gonna take it into space on her own. Kick it back to Moran, who will slow things down. Emma Moran. Back to Kelly. Kelly looking for the cutter. Central Catholic content to just run a little clock here. Almost a turnover, but Addie's going to just streak her way down off the post. I think she was fouled in the process, although it's a Guardian defender who's on the field. We are going to get the free restart for the Lady Rams.
Yeah, again, look for her to use her legs on this. She's going to drive it right in.
Just like last time. Here's Addie, and the same result. Too strong, too confident. And that's going to be the 11th goal for the Lady Rams. 11-6 now. It's been a game of runs.
Yeah, and you gotta kind of give credit to the defense because it was really almost turned over. And I do think that Sharon must have given him a little bit of a talking to because we saw Tilly Dieter just go after that ground ball back there, and that's what started that whole series of events. So, yep, they got a little fire in them now.
Quite an effective timeout.
Yeah.
Who knows what Sharon said, but we'll have to bottle it.
Right.
All right, Addie and Sophie in the draw. It's popped up in the air and quickly grabbed back by Marin. She's going to spin out of traffic and cradle it nicely, possession. Kick it over to Maeve Kelly. Kelly down the left flank here. Surveying her options. Cutting into the box is Kelly. Back over to Elise Lamb. Elise Lamb calling out on ball. Defending is LaFrance.
There's Ellie Rector on the ball. Oh.
Oh, gets right in front of goal, but a nice stop. And possibly out of bounds.
Yep. Julia's going to bring it up here. She's looking to pass to somebody in the midfield, but there's not a lot of openings.
In soccer, we'd call this a high line of confrontation. They're really pressing in the I to B defensive
and that
third.
Pressure on the ball just about turned it over.
Causing problems for sure. But 80's going to fight her way through. Get it over to Micah Richmond.
Sophie's looking for the one-on-one.
A partial shadow in the middle of the field and certainly down here at this attacking zone.
Oh,
I imagine that's been a little bit of a problem for the I to B goalie right now, especially as it's getting lower in the sky.
Yeah, for sure. So they just issued a yellow card to Tilly Dieter. I think she must have had a check to the head. That's typically what's happening in there. It's probably nothing intentional, but it definitely is dangerous. So
well, you were right.
She's going to sit for 2 minutes.
Yeah, she changed the game with her defensive intensity when she came on the field, and maybe she got a little carried away with it.
That could be the case.
And here's the free restart for Becca. Converged on, but she goes low and bounces it in. A nice goal for...
That was Sophie Lafrenz.
Yeah, Sophie Lafrenz. So how far out can the goalie come to cut the angle off?
You know, that I never see them come out. You know, they usually are coached to step to the ball, but you don't see them come out of the crease really ever on an 8-meter shot. You know, occasionally you'll see if the attacking team is riding them really closely, pressing really hard, and the goalie doesn't have any options to clear, you'll see them run the ball themselves. But you don't really see them coming out of the crease on an 8-meter shot.
But they're allowed to.
I think so. But once they're out of the crease, if they have the ball, they cannot go back in. So that's
without passing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Lafrenz, some kind of infraction, but we're going to just do it all over again.
I think, again, it didn't go above their heads, so.
You can tell Sophie Lafrenz is pretty strong. She's trying to just muscle her way through that.
Yes.
And a draw one. Yeah, and quickly turned back over to Central Catholic, who give it right back, and here comes I to B. We've got Addie streaking down, looking like she's going to call her own number, and she bounces it through the 5-hole for a goal.
That was just a great hustle play.
80 Dominitz. Hope I'm saying that right. My apologies. With 2 seconds on the clock, what a timely goal.
Yeah, that's got to feel good for I to B right now. That another little boost for them.
It's 11-8. They're showing plenty of fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this, even if they don't win this game, it's really a win to have such a difference from their previous game against Central Catholic, where they just got destroyed.
A lot to grow on, a lot to build off of in practice, a lot to hold your head high there.
Yeah.
And maybe some film, you know, which we're providing here with the Oregon Sports Beat and the broadcast to look over, and for Central Catholic to keep improving to where they want to be.
Yeah, so on that one, it looks like Sophie may have gone early on the draw, so they give possession to Central. So, yeah.
Yeah, but lots of action here at Oregon Sports Beat. Ladies lacrosse, we've got a lot of soccer coming up and some championship games. We'll be doing the GPSD, the Greater Portland Soccer District, which I love and know well. Years of weekend warriors and pulled hamstrings and beers after the game and a ton of joy, all kinds of levels. Amy, do you want to tell us more ways to get involved in local lacrosse for parents to know about, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we've got youth programs in every part of the Portland metro area. My kids started with Eastside Portland Lacrosse, which is a program that really covers most of the inner East Side. So kids that end up going to Grant and Franklin and Cleveland, they all start out in Eastside Portland Lacrosse.
That's great. I imagine a Google search away from finding their contact info.
Yeah, and you can always reach out to the Oregon Girls Lacrosse Association, the OGLA. You can hit up their website, and if you can't find your program there, then there are contacts on that website for you to reach out to get more information.
So what's next for you, Amy, as far as your coaching? Are you looking to maybe get into the high school game, or?
I love right where I'm at. I love coaching middle school players who play for smaller programs. And, this all-star program that I get to coach for 7th and 8th grade is so much fun because these kids are playing with beginners on their home program, but then they get to come and play with a bunch of other high-level players, and they always just are so happy to be there and excited about the game. And so I love doing that. And, I'm going to be an empty nester, and so I'm going to enjoy watching more lacrosse games and coaching those all-stars, and then trying to keep up the work in the off season. I think for a lot of recreational players, they put down their sticks for 3/4 of the year, and to just keep them in the game through different little things in the wintertime, in the fall, and some scrimmages in the summer, I think is a really important way to just keep girls engaged. Especially at the 5th through 8th grade level, we have a lot of girls who drop out and who become interested in other sports. And so just finding little ways to keep them interested and successful and keep it a lot of fun, it's really important.
Are you able to get your cleats on and get your stick out there and get a little sweat going at practice?
I don't do too much because I am an aging runner, and I will wreck myself if I do any kinds of change in direction. I can't keep up with these kids.
Yeah, it's impressive to watch, and if youth knew and age could.
Exactly.
Oh, we're set to kick off the 4th quarter. It's 11-8. Popped up in the air and nearly chased down herself, Sophie LaFrance, but we're going to go the other way with Central Catholic. Dipping her way into traffic, Marin Lutvia, and she's just going to score and just say hello. Let's get this 4th quarter going. Yeah, crunch time.
She just made a decision right there. You could see it from way back here. She knew what she was going to do, and she finished strong.
Yeah, she just lowered her shoulder. Was not going to be denied. Got in there 15 seconds in, and we've got a goal for Central Catholic.
That was quick.
And we've got Maeve Kelly's going to take the draw. Looks like Sophia's back in there. Contrasting styles.
And you'll notice that these two on the left are actually off the circle. They're going to try to run onto the ball, which is not something you see that often, but I think they both know it's going to pop up.
Now, they took off early. They allowed to do that?
Yeah, they totally can. They can be doing that because they're not inside. I think they're trying to get some momentum.
Perfect. There's a nice little play down low. She's going to bounce it in and score another. Marin.
And a great pass on that one.
Faya is on fire.
She is on fire. And Emma Moran with a beautiful assist on that, too. She just found her, and she was on her way.
I mean, Marin looks unstoppable.
Yeah. I think she didn't like how close this game was getting.
Uh-huh. Well, good for her. She let her game do the talking. Got a little instruction. I can't imagine what it was. How about keep scoring?
Something like that.
Maeve Kelly and Sophie LaFrance back for the draw to get us going. Again, Sophie looks like she's pushing, and Maeve looks like she's ready to pull, which has got them practically going in the same direction here. But yanked up in the air, fought for, and a good win. There's 80, but she can't control because of the foul. And
Ellie Rector is going to take off
quickly.
Julia Pridmore-Brown. Julia's got space.
You're right. We haven't called their names as much because they haven't been winning the draws.
Oh, so and look at that was Marin again, just intercepting that pass.
Kind of telegraphed that one. Not to take anything away from Marin and her anticipation. Here
Marin
we go.
Is on fire.
Exactly. Hope that sticks. Eleanor Black, dispossessed. Here we go. Ida B, they've got numbers. She's going to take the space. Hey, just keep taking the space. She's going to waltz down Broadway. The Lady Rams get their defense set. And it's back to a little more traditional looking set here. LaFrance looking for options. Back behind the net. There's Ella Morris. Ella Morris still on it. Nice little pass down low, but dispossessed is Parker Brown. And there's a ground ball that's knocked up into the air 2-3 times, still not controlled by anybody. We've got a foul, and it's going to stay with Ida B.
Yeah, if you're covering the ball and not scooping it up, which I think is what happened there, that was a covering call.
Got it. Richmond. Kick it back to Ella Morris. Still Ella Morris working her way. Dangerous pass, but able to scoop it up is Ellie Rector. She's going to kind of meander her way back to the X. Loses possession and actually is going to lose it right on the spot. Lila Sharp is there and jetting her way out of the defensive zone. Well played. Lila Sharp with get the counter moving here.
Yep.
And right on cue, the Energizer Bunny. Marin. Yeah, she's got moves. There she goes. Bounce, goal. How many tonight? She's a machine. Marin Lutfaya
is definitely on fire. Yeah, she just made up her mind. I mean, something happened in that timeout, and it certainly changed the way they are playing, and especially Marin's play. She's just really getting aggressive.
She's dominating her play out here. It's impressive to watch.
Yeah.
The Guardians put up a good fight, but that's just a little too much firepower, especially with Marin and Maeve and Addie. And here's Maeve. She's going to win her own.
Again, a self-draw. Maeve takes control.
See what kind of space she finds on her own. A little hop, hippity step. Make some space, back her way through, took some contact up high. It's going to get the free restart in a dangerous area.
Yep, she's
going
on
for
the
goal
8
here.
Meter. Yeah, you know, they may want to keep possession, so she may do something a little unusual and pass instead of shooting, but
I think she's shooting. No, you called it. She pulls it back. Was there a code word that maybe came from the bench on that?
I didn't hear anything, but I'm just thinking strategy.
Except for here she goes, drawing more contact and maybe more of the same to see this thing out. Maeve Kelly, will she shoot this time?
I think she will. I'm looking at how she's standing. She looks like she's going to run it in and score. Nope. Yeah, I mean, it's good strategy. You want to run the clock out at this point. They've got a 6-goal lead, and just wait for the right opportunity.
No shot clock. There is in the professional men's game, right?
And there is at the college level, but no, we do not yet have a shot clock for girls high school lacrosse.
If you had a vote on some kind of committee and were to advocate, would you want one?
I would want one. I think it's just boring to, watch teams. Whoop. Not too boring.
And there's a big collision, and great sportsmanship as Marin's going to help her up. Everybody seems all right. Poppy Dibble's going to get us going again. Here's Poppy. She's going to draw the contact. And the Guardians get us started, and they need goals, and they need them in a hurry.
Little urgency here.
Oh, and she was shooting before she caught it. It's going to be a turnover. And Marin just too strong on the ball there. Addie as well. Did she do that on purpose? Did a little bounce into space and recollect?
No, I think she had a little contact. I actually think Micah might have checked her a little bit and knocked it out, but she was able to regain possession.
A little start and stop. Gets herself into a great area and loops it over the keeper and in. A nice solo effort there.
Yeah, nice finish by Addie. And yeah, I mean, I really would like to see a shot clock because some of the more, really higher level high school teams, if there's not a shot clock, they're just going to be able to maintain possession and run it around, and it's just not as exciting.
Yeah, I think I agree. As a new fan to this action-packed sport, I've also been given notice that we may potentially having a technical issue where the camera battery might die. There's been some power issues out here at Delta Park. So at the 6-minute and 24 mark, it is 15-8 Central Catholic, barring a Guardian miracle. I think they're going to walk out of here with the win. And if we do disappear, we're going to catch you next time at Oregon Sports Beat. And if we vanish off the air, Amy, it's been such a pleasure to get to call a game with you.
Absolutely.
Hope we do many in the future.
Thank you for having me. This has just been so much fun. I love to watch these players just working their heart out there.
Great effort. The sun has gone behind the trees and finally cooled us off, but the Central Catholic offense, especially Marin Lutfaya, has been delivering a lot of offensive firepower. 5:36 to go. And we're working with a minute and change.
All right, Emma's going to bring it in from the sideline for Central.
Emma Moran. Got to kick it over and maybe work a little clock here. Addie Hartmeyer just going to cradle. Coming up to meet her is Ellie Rector. A little Ellie on Ellie. Ellie on Addie. Addie Hartmeyer, she's going to drop her shoulder and go right to goal, but miss with the shot. It's going to stay here with Central Catholic. It's been a yeah. Oh, very good. And back into the X. That's going to be Eleanor Black. Eleanor going to cradle and kick it out. Back to Maeve Kelly. Kelly defended by LaFrance. Now she's going to kick it back to the X. And there's Addie Hartmeyer. Hartmeyer going to try to work her way in front of goal, which she's going to do, and then just calm things down. Why not? Hold on to possession. 4 minutes to go in the match. And Central Catholic content to run some clock. Why bother? No shot clock.
Right. Yeah, and a little pressure from the defense right there.
Well,
they
they've
almost
got
lost
to,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Don't they?
exactly.
Too much contact on the stick?
Yeah, that was in the sphere, so you can't go anywhere near the player's head with your stick, or they're gonna call that.
Fitzpatrick, the guilty party. I get it. Ida B needs to push the issue here on defense. Any technique you like to coach to try to win back possession?
You know, anything you try can be risky. If you're pressuring too high, they can run past you. And if you double, you're going to leave somebody open.
Right.
But I like to see them try something.
Yeah, that stage of the game where they have to gamble a little bit.
Yep.
Well, JPB, Julia Pridmore-Brown definitely had a nice game. Had some pretty classy goals herself. And a foul before the shot and the goal. There's no continuation, huh?
No, and that's another rule. Like, if I were in charge of everything, it would be nice to just play advantage, you know, and just on those plays be able to keep that goal.
Yeah, soccer and basketball have their own version of it. Why not? And there's another goal. This time it's Elise Lamb.
Yeah,
at
nice
the 2:26 mark. Patient offense. Yeah, we got the Lions' share of the game, maybe the entire game. 16-8 now, Central Catholic. Great performance for the Lady Rams. Approaching sunset out here, Delta Park. Beautiful time to be up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, and it was nice to see them make it competitive, you know. In that third quarter when Ida B, I think it was the third quarter, when they had a little run and got within 3. And Julia's going to come up with it, I think. Oh, nope.
Still battling to the final whistle here. And Julia is on the ball. Look at that. She's got a little pace herself. Julia's going to hold on. Assess D. Just feel the pressure from Kelly and go down. It looks like, I guess, just a tangle of feet and no call. We're just going to stop it to make sure she's okay.
Yeah, I think that's what, I don't think there was a foul there. I think she may have twisted her ankle.
Turf monster.
Yeah. Well, they're calling alternating possession, so I think the refs didn't quite know what to do there, and they're just going to give the AP to Ida B.
It's going to be a restart from the X?
Yeah, from the dot back there with Julia.
Right, not exactly an offensive advantage position. But here they go. Back to Julia. Going to work it to LaFrance. 80's going to go down low. Kick it in. A shot effort there. That was June Hardman, who helped us add her name to the roster in the pregame with a nice little effort. And she's going to get her own free shot here. June calling her own number and just a little bit wide.
Nice backup right there.
Oh, and a beautiful goal. Poppy Dibble gets herself on the scoreboard.
That was such a heads-up play by Poppy, just being in the right place and scooping it right up.
Yeah, she read that play really well, saw the space to attack, and handled her business. right, we got Maven LaFrance here.
Looks like Sophie's got kind of that motorcycle rev on that left arm, like she's going to try and pop it up.
And just what she did. Another ground ball that's going to get scooped up and knocked out of her basket, illegally so, and we're going to restart with Addie. Beautiful pass to Julia. And she's looking for her shot. Still looking for her shot. Going to bounce it and score. But again, no continuation and an earlier whistle.
Yeah, so I think they're going to give an 8-meter shot. Yep.
Nice to hear Americans using the metric system in sports.
It just makes so much sense. There we go,
Julia. JPB is going to have a beautiful goal in the last minute here. 16-10, a really respectable score for Ida B. Lot to grow on, and the win and marching on forward here for Central Catholic.
Yeah, I think Ida B is going to be happy with this result. You know, they kept working. They kept their effort up the whole time. And there were moments in this game where they really could have lost steam and could have given up, and they just kept their hustle on. So
they didn't look like a 2-8 team out there.
Yeah.
They've got more wins in their season, and you can tell that they're growing into their identity.
Yeah, absolutely. And a ton of credit to Central, too, for the adjustments that they made when Ida B started to make their comeback.
Right. Here's Marin Lufia, definitely the player of the game for my money.
Yeah, especially with that last name.
Right. Here's Moran. Now Addie Hartmeyer, she's seen a lot of the ball. We're going to go behind the X, and in front is Elise Lamb with the shot, collected by the Guardian keeper, who is coming out, trying to restart. You know, we haven't seen as much of that this game. We saw
quick transition here.
Beautiful. Look at that open field move. Julia's got quicks and some. Just a gorgeous individual goal at the death of the game. I think we're going to count it. A little discussion. 16-11 is on the board, and she's really had a wonderful showing, but a ton of motor at the end there, beating players in open space, didn't look fatigued, one drop.
Yeah, that was beautiful by Julia. What a nice finish, and you can tell they're holding their heads high. That felt almost like a win for them, so they are stoked, and Julia especially with that strong finish.
Yeah, well, we're living on borrowed time here with our battery life, but so happy we made it to the end, and what a thrilling match here on Oregon Sports Beats. The final score is going to be the Central Catholic Lady Rams 16 and Ida B. Wells Guardians 11. I'm Benjamin Efran. Any final thoughts here, Amy? What a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this, and I hope I get a chance to do it again.
We'd love to have you back. Thanks so much, and everybody have a great night.
Thank you.